being a former Polish shotput champion, he's so explosive.
Well, we've seen some of the other fellas with the long limbs have really struggled, but 9 struggle, no way. So Sebastian, last year's runner-up in the World's Strongest Man, back in business. Referee telling Maris how to do it, and Maris just swatting him away. You don't tell the governor how to do a lift. Marius knows double figures will equate to maximum points. Oh, just a little regroup there. The crowd went 4 and he wasn't ready.
But they're not 4, but 4 in Polish. There's so many Poles here. There's more Poles than Americans.
8. He joins his fellow Pole on 9, and he looks like he's got 1 or 2 left in him. There it is, double figures, and that's good enough. And typical Pudzianowski. He doesn't try for the macho stuff. 10 puts him in the lead, and he knows it.
Wow, and he's just so explosive with his legs and arms. He's not as big as we've seen him in the past. These exercises he knows so well.
Big toe. And with a heart the size of the Dartford Tunnel, let's see what he can come up with. Terry, of course, hates the word former, but that's what he is. Former Britain's strongest man. Ooh, that was a bit of a wobble. Now he needs to get past 5 because there's a whole bunch of them on 5. He needs to push some of those guys down the pecking order a little bit, but I'm not sure there's much left in Terry's tank here, you know. No. 5 and out for Terry Hollands.
Well, suspect fitness from Terry there. Looked strong in the first couple of reps, didn't he? But burnt out.
The gauge hit empty very quickly there, didn't it, for Terry Hollands?
Marius, the winner. How does that feel? Good? Strong? Good shoulders?
Yes, good shoulders. Only I am too nervous now because all guys won't beat me. I must win. Only how?
Pudzianowski, by a rep, takes the second event, and Poundstone is really beginning to fall away. Hollands and Felix doing 5 reps each gets them 5th. Overall then, Pudzianowski is where he likes to be, on top by 2 points ahead of Terry. Sebastian Venter has also done himself a favour by getting 2nd in the press and now sits on 14 points with Felix. Second event is the Super Yoke. Our strongmen have to lift and carry a 50-stone girder down a 20-metre course. Some of these guys may even break into a run.
Well, yes, and Paulin's personal nightmare continued. He only just broke 1 minute. The old boy would have been happy enough to crack 22 seconds. That should get him right back in the mix. And it was a little bit too hot for Josh Thigpen as well. Brian Shaw back in business with a very fast 16.06. Dave Austin would have been pretty happy with his 19.12. Eric Poundstone, the next beast of burden. And it's not so much a race with your opponent, it's just beating this enormous yoke. Marshall White. Marshall needs to start picking up some points if he wants to be in the shake-up at the end. And they're both rattling away here, aren't they? Keeping that momentum is so important, as we've seen with some of the earlier heats. Once you lose that rhythm, everything goes horribly wrong. And it looks like Poundstone is starting to drift away a little bit. Has got himself back on track, gets the touch, 16.79. Not first place, but nevertheless, big points. And Marshall White won't be at all unhappy with that. No wonder there's a few attaboys going on down there.
Well, Derek Poundstone picking up some vital points there. He might not be in the lead, but 16 seconds is still pretty good.
Sebastian Venter is ready to take the strain. There's Mark Felix. Did so well last year, really came of age, the big fella from Blackburn. Well, they know what they've got to do. 15 seconds and you're in for some big points. And those little stutter steps from Venter don't look too good, and Felix is absolutely flying, but now just starting to drift away. And if you go out of your lane, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. But that's not trouble for Felix. That's terrific. Put him into first place. There was a little wobble there, and Venter's right in the mixer as well. He had a little stumble, but didn't he regroup well?
Well, a big stumble in the middle, but he absolutely regrouped and charged for the line. Felix in the lead. That's a big scalp beating Venter.
Gillingham qualified for World's Strongest Man last year, but he's down among the dead men here a little bit at the moment. Jason Bergman, who's competed at this event before, and this is where maybe size matters. When you got a little bit more height, you can just get a little bit more control in that thing, and Bergman, as you can see, has barely got this thing off the ground, but he doesn't need to, not the way he's moving. Now, can he keep those steps going? Look at the concentration, look at the determination. He's going well. And I think Felix is under threat here. Oh, just outside. Felix hangs on, but what a run from Bergman. And not shabby from Carl Gillingham either. So good numbers for the two Americans, but the big guns yet to come. Terry Hollands is up against a man who wants to make a little statement of his own. Mariusz Pudzianowski, and a glare over, and look at Maris's response. Big tell, you better be ready for this one. He's coming after you.
Terry Hollands, 28 years old. And normally my fitness is an issue here just purely because it's such a fast-paced show. I got third place at World's Strongest Man this year. For me this year, I need to step up again. It's something I've got to do. I think I've got what it takes to win World's Strongest Man, and I have to do it. It's not a question of wanting to. I've got to do it before I retire. I've made a lot of sacrifices to do it. I've stopped working and continued to train full time, and hopefully that'll be the thing that makes the biggest difference. For me, the one thing that stands out about Mariusz is how competitive he is. Even when he's winning a competition and he's got 2 events to go and he's still leading by loads, it's still that real will to win. He's just so determined, it's unbelievable. I genuinely believe that I'm just as determined as Mariusz is. I'm just a few years behind him, that's all.
So Terry Hollands hoping that wheel of fortune smiles on him as he gets ready to battle it out with Mariusz Pudzianowski. The yokes are raised, both of them off to a flyer, and I think Mark Felix might be under threat once again. Hollands with his nose just in front, Pudzianowski trying to push him, Hollands hanging on. Shattered, absolutely shattered that mark of Mark Felix, hasn't he? And Mariusz is inside it as well. Maximum points for Terry Hollands, but Mariusz Pudzianowski just behind him. So all that work at the roulette wheel paid off. The gamble for Terry Hollands has come in big time. Look at this, breaks the plane, takes first place.
Now, Terry, was there a bit of money riding on this?
Yeah, we actually had a bit of a $100 bet before the event. Yeah, I was pretty sure I'd run him close this year. I ran him pretty close last year, and I've been a lot better at the yoke over the winter, so I was pretty sure I could at least get close and maybe have a chance of beating him. I'm just happy to do that.
So Terry Hollands is $100 better off and takes his first victory by a full 1.5 seconds ahead of Mariusz Pudzianowski. And Britain's Mark Felix gathers some vital points with that third place finish. Overall then, Mariusz is in the lead by 1 point ahead of Terry, whilst Felix has managed to get up to equal third with Jason Bergman. After the break, it doesn't get any easier for our strongmen. They have a 2-ton car to hold. Welcome back to the Mohegan Sun Grand Prix. Down to Colin Bryce and Sven Karlsson to talk us through our 4th event.
So, on to event 4, and as the car deadlift hold, you have to pick the back end of this car up, and it weighs 950 pounds. That's way in excess of 430 kilos. You have to lift it up and then hang on to it for as long as possible. We're about to have the cut and go down to just 6 men from 13. Now, Sven, is this mental or physical?
This is definitely a mental game. The guys really have to cope with the pain now and see who is the stronger man.
So, who's the strongest man? We'll see the final 6 after this event.
Well, Jessen Paulin won't make the final cut, but he did hold on for nearly 34 seconds. That'll restore some pride And Odd Haugen, I think, will be joining Jessen in watching the rest of the tournament from the cheap seats. Josh Thigpen, disappointed the little fella with just over 20 seconds. And Marshall White would have liked a little bit more than 26. But here's the big shock, Sebastian Venter couldn't manage 20 seconds. And the strain, good enough for Carl Gillingham, 34.77. Dave Osland too managed to crack 30 seconds. Well, Connecticut really is Warsaw West at the moment, isn't it? Up next, Derek Poundstone going up against Brian Shaw. You're not really opponents in something like this, though, are you? It is man against machine. You against your mind. You simply have to block out the fact that there is a 950-pound car trying to separate your shoulder blades. 30 seconds is the benchmark. It must seem like 30 minutes to these fellas.
We saw how good Brian Shaw's grit was in that first event, the medley that he won. No problems for him there. Poundstone dropped it.
Both getting up to the 30-second mark, and that's good. And look at that face of determination. Well, but it's Poundstone that plays the long game. He went from full to empty, did Shaw, but Poundstone hung on for nearly 45 seconds. Yeah, you could be happy with that. Well, he's right back in the picture now. Not to make the top 6, he was pretty much assured of that anyway. But this puts him very much in contention for a top 4 spot, and that's what this is really all about. Mark Felix, who knows all about a top 4 finish. He's in the mixer again here at Mohegan Sun. Jason Bergman. He's going to really have to have a very, very good deadlift here if he wants to make the cut. And it's all about the mental games, isn't it? You stand there and you tell yourself everything's all right, but it's not, it's hurting.
He's got all the physical attributes, Mark Felix, for doing a good time here. He's got huge, huge hands. Bergman, a much smaller man. But you're right, it is all about mental state, zoning out.
Look for the wobbles. The eyes are a giveaway. When the head drops, you're hurting. But that's not bad. Good enough for a top 6? Probably not. Felix, good enough for maximum points? You better believe it. And he's got more in the tank. Now, he doesn't want to overdo this. He knows what the time is. He knows he's in maximum points at the moment. How much do you hold on and push Pudzianowski? Well, he wants the minute, doesn't he? Has he got it? Oh, it was close. 58 dead, and you just got the feeling if there'd been more on it, he could have cracked the minute. That was a bit special from Mark Felix.
Well, that really puts the pressure on Terry and Pudzianowski now.
And just look at Bergman on his knees, looking up in admiration as if to say, man, how are you doing that? Which is probably what Pudzianowski was thinking too. I've got a feeling, though, in Marius, no matter how many fans he's got in this arena blowing his horn, he isn't going to push himself too far. Once he gets to around 40 seconds, Marius might decide, you know what, that's enough, I just need a top 4 finish. But he is such a competitor, has his big tell. Isn't it amazing? These two get thrown together once again.
Look at Terry looking over at Marius, waiting for him to go first. It doesn't matter, of course, your time starts once you've stood up with it, but perhaps this gives him a psychological advantage as Pudzianowski will start shaking first here.
Is Marius hurting already, or is that a little bit of kidology from him? Marius was grimacing around the 10-second mark there. Terry's got the shakes.
He's trying to look cool, though, isn't he? He's trying not to shake.
Well, this is a good recovery for both of them. Are really struggling. 26 for Pudzianowski. And he wasn't faking that. And Terry, well, he's beaten Marius. It's like his own little personal duel there. It's just Terry Hollins against Marius Pudzianowski here. Terry wanted to win this one badly, and he regrouped well after that wobble. Marius never seemed to be quite on track. Mark Felix is probably thinking, what's the matter with you guys?
Now you're the man who won that event, and that has propelled you in the first place, hasn't it? That's taken you above everybody. How's it feeling?
It's feel great at the moment, you know. You have to have a strong grip, you have a strong tendon and mental strength to do something like this. It's fantastic.
Mark Felix takes the victory by almost 15 seconds in the deadlift hold, whilst Hollands takes 8th.